Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to your English class. Hope you all are fit and fine. So, today, students, we will continue with the next chapter of our story, The Toy Violin. So, it's chapter number 10 and second part of The Toy Violin. Till now, we have studied how Arrow, a small boy, gave such a wonderful performance with the toy violin. Now, let's continue with the second part, chapter number 10, the toy violin, second part. So, students, here is an activity given, and in this activity, there are several pictures of different musical instruments. What you have to do is to write the names of these musical instruments, and also you have to find out how they are played. Let me show you how you have to write the names of these musical instruments. Here it goes. First one is guitar, second one is sitar, third one is tabla, then harmonium, piano, flute, drum set and tambourine. So this is how you have to write the name of these musical instruments in your book. Now let's start our chapter. Arrow went home a happy boy, but he had no time to think of the fun he had. His parents were waiting with all the boxes packed. An hour later they were on the train on the way to Arrow's uncle's village to spend the holidays with him and his family. So students, after giving such a happy and such a delightful performance at the musical concert in school, Arrow went back home very happily from his school. But when he reached at his home, he had no time to think of all the fun he had on that day in the school concert, because his parents were ready. They were all ready with all their luggage packed, and they were waiting for Arrow to return back from school so that they can go. Where were they going? They were going on a journey to Arrow's uncle's village, and as soon as Arrow reached home, they left for Arrow's uncle's village in the train, and they were going there to spend the holidays of Arrow with his uncle and his family. Now let's read further. Arrow got back from his holiday on the first day of school. Pintu was waiting for him at the school gate. "Where have you been?" Pintu asked. "Everybody is looking for you." So students, after spending the holidays at his uncle's house in the village, he returned back to his home, and on the first day of school, when his school gets reopened after holidays, he reached his school, and Pintu, who was Pintu? Yes, Pintu was Arrow's best friend. He was waiting at the school gate for Arrow to arrive, and as soon as Arrow arrived at the school gate, Pintu said to him that, "Where were you? Everybody in the school is looking for you." Now let's read further. "Why?" asked Arrow, surprised. "You don't know?" said Pintu. "Because you are famous," he shouted, jumping up and down. "Remember, a man took a video while you were playing that violin? Well, he put the video on the internet, and you are famous." So student, when Pintu told Arrow that everybody in the school is looking for him, he was very surprised. He asked Pintu, "Why everyone is looking for me?" Then Pintu told him that, "Don't you know that you are now famous?" Famous, you all know, means well known by a lot of people. So Pintu told Arrow that now you are famous, and you know how? Because that man who shoot your video while you were playing that violin in the school concert put that video or uploaded that video on the internet, and many people have watched your video, and your video is being liked very much, and you are now famous. Now let's read further. "What? Where? Why?" sputtered Arrow, really confused. "Oh, come with me," said Pintu. "I will show you." So students, on hearing the words of Pintu, Arrow was greatly surprised. He was greatly shocked, and with great difficulty in speaking, he asked what, where, why, how. He started asking so many questions from Pintu. Sputtered here means spoke with great difficulty because of surprise. Arrow was so much surprised that He couldn't even speak properly. Then Pinto said to him, "Oh, stop all these questions and come with me, I will show you." Read the next lines. They went to the computer room. It was full of children. "Hey Arrow," somebody shouted, "you are on the internet." So students, Pinto took Arrow to the computer room of their school, and when they reached there, the computer room was already filled with lots of children. Lots of students were already present there, and on seeing the Arrow, somebody shouted, "Hey Arrow, you are on the internet." So students, can you imagine the happiness of Arrow? Let's read further to know what happened next. "Let's play it again for Arrow," said the computer teacher. He clicked on an icon. Arrow's face flashed on the computer screen. The children around the computer cheered. Arrow watched with his mouth open. There he was on the screen, playing the toy violin, while the school clapped and cheered. So students, when Pinto and Arrow reached the computer room of the school, the computer teacher played the video of Arrow again on the computer, and as soon as the video started playing, in which Arrow was playing that violin in the school concert, all the students who were present there in the computer room, they started cheering. Cheering means to shout for joy or for appreciation. They started shouting with joy and appreciation for Arrow as he was there on the computer screen. But Arrow didn't say a word, and he was you can say speechless. He just watched his video on the internet with his mouth open. He was so much shocked that his mouth remained open. Let's read further. "The whole world is watching this Arrow," said the computer teacher. "Millions of people, and they love it." Arrow sat in a daze through all his classes. Then his teacher told him, "The principal wants to see you during the break." So students, then the computer teacher told Arrow that people all around the world is watching your video and they are liking your video very much. Millions of people are watching your video in which you are playing that violin. And then Arrow sat in a daze. Daze means confused and unable to think clearly. Through all his classes, he sat in a confused state, unable to think properly, unable to concentrate properly. Why? Because Arrow was so much surprised. He was not expecting this much of fame. And then one of his teacher told him that principal sir wants to meet you during the break time. Let's read further. As Arrow made his way to the principal's office, children thumped him on the back or shook his hand. It seemed the whole school knew his name. So students, when Arrow went to meet the principal sir during the break time, the children whom he met on his way to principal's office thumped him and shook hand with him. Thumb means hit. So children or other students hit with appreciation on the back of Arrow, and it was looking as if each and every student of the school knew his name, as he was receiving such warm appreciation from the other students of the school. Now let's read further. "Arrow, we are proud of you," said the principal. Arrow was surprised to see his parents in the office. They were looking very happy. A man came forward and shook Arrow's hand. "Hello Arrow," he said. "I am Mr. Shah." He was the man who had made the video. "Well done," said Mr. Shah. "Now the whole world loves the sound of a toy violin." "Mr. Shah is from the India Music Society," said the principal. "He wants to tell you something." So students, when Arrow reached Principal Sir's office, Principal Sir welcomed him and said to him that, "Arrow, we are very proud of you." And then Arrow saw that his parents were also present there in the office and they were looking very happy. Then there came a man who shook hands with Arrow and introduced himself by saying that, "Hello Arrow, I am Mr. Shah." And who do you know, students, who was that man? Yes, he was that man who made the video of Arrow while he was playing the violin, which has gone viral, because of which Arrow was so much famous now. And then he said to Arrow that, "Well done Arrow, Now, after hearing your video, the whole world loves the sound of a toy violin. Then the principal sir tells a bit more about Mr. Shah to Arrow, that Arrow, Mr. Shah is from the Indian Music Society. He belongs to a music society and he wants to tell you something. Let's read further to know what he wants to tell Arrow. Arrow, said Mr. Shah, my society would like to give you a scholarship to be trained in music. Will you accept it? Yes, said Arrow very loudly. So students, what Mr. Shah told Arrow, he told Arrow that my music society wants to give you a scholarship. Scholarship means award of financial aid. He said to Arrow that my society wants to give you financial aid or financial help as an award, so that you can get your training in music. And then he asked Arrow that will you accept the scholarship, to which Arrow replied yes, he said very loudly, because his parents always wanted him to get trained in music, and now finally he was getting the opportunity. Now let's read the last few lines. That's settled then, said Mr. Shah, and since you play a toy violin so well, he said, you will enjoy playing this, and he put in Arrow's hands a real violin. So students, after Arrow accepted the proposal of scholarship, Mr. Shah said that it's settled, it's done, we will give you scholarship. And then he said to Arrow that when you can play a toy violin so nicely, you will surely enjoy playing this. And saying so, he placed a real violin in Arrow's hands. So Arrow got all that he wanted, a real violin as well as scholarship. So students, here ends our chapter, and it's a beautiful story of a talented boy who became famous with his talent of music. Hope you must have comprehended the story nicely. We'll meet you on the next turn. Till then, stay safe, be happy, and keep learning.